Here's to Main Street, not Wall Street. Here's to being invested in each other. Here's to a return to what matters. Elevations Credit Union. It matters where you bank. Visit us online to see why.
Good morning. Elevations Credit Union is the sponsor of this class, and at Elevations, we're not a bank, we're a credit union. We're not for profit, and that works for you and with you, giving you lower rates, fees, and we're a full-service lender. What this means is higher purchase prices and more clients get approved. We're passionate about our work and the people in the communities we service. We work to build long-term relationships with a deep mutual trust for our members by acting in the best interest of our membership and the community. Bring your challenges, ideas, and requests. We are dedicated to providing solutions for a better life for you and your clients. Example, we do non-warrantable condos. We do manufactured homes. We do high loan-to-value loans. And because we're a credit union, we have very low mortgage insurance rates. If you haven't experienced working with a credit union, you need to be working with Elevations to do that. We have a bank and you have a mortgage. If you have a bank, you should have a mortgage broker as well as a credit union. So please think about adding a credit union on for your referrals. My name is Sabrina Lee. I've been in the mortgage lending business in Colorado for nearly 30 years now, and we hope you enjoy the class. Our speaker today is Rich Sands. Rich is the president of Rich Sands Seminars. That's probably a good thing.
Because somebody had to be. My wife didn't want the job. So.
He works closely with international franchise systems and independent brokerages. As an NAR, REBAC, and certified CRS instructor, he conducts dozens of courses each year for the National Association of Realtors and the Council of Residential Specialists. He's also the editor of a 2minutetip.com and a weekly video designed to address the hottest and most relevant topics in real estate today in a mini lesson format. He also happens to be an avid runner, which I learned a lot about at the first class. Please join us in welcoming Rich. Thank you.
You can have that. Good morning. Oh, that doesn't look good at all. What happened? It's the little things like that when you're slightly anal retentive that you just go, can't have that. All right, so here you are, hanging out this morning, wandering around at the convention, deciding what class to go to, attracted by all the shiny objects. I could use this cool tech tool and this awesome new little lead response system, and I can find a way to mentally hypnotize my clients, and I can do all of the things that I want to do. And the bottom line is, sometimes we get distracted by the shiny objects, and what life comes down to for us is pretty simple, and that is this is a people business. And so if we're going to be in a people business, let's talk about some people tactics, and let's talk about influence. And we're not talking about this kind of influence. We're wanting to actually be more of this kind of influence. We're wanting to be an influence. They use this as a way to influence people at times because this would go on for hours. And finally you'd break down. I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you. I don't really know how to fill out a contract. This is my first time. There are a lot of ways to influence people. That's one. This might be another. If you watched the James Bond movie, I don't even like seeing this picture. I don't know why I have it in there, but that was another way, if you remember that. Another way to have influence on people is to subject them to really bad television from the 60s and the 70s. Does anyone other than me remember Hullabaloo? Okay, yeah, just terrible, terrible. You can influence people, perhaps in negative ways and perhaps with negative influence. But being an influence is different. Mother Teresa was an influence. Jesus was an influence. The Dalai Lama is an influence. And you are an influence. So here's a hot tip before we even get into the 7 things. The hot tip is you are going to be able to influence me. If I'm a buyer or a seller, just a person on the planet, one of the biggest ways you're going to be able to influence me is if I trust you. If I trust you, you're going to be able to have some influence on me. Now, don't think influence like manipulation. Don't think influence like telling me what to do. You don't get to make that many decisions in a real estate transaction as far as at least what your buyer and seller does. They get to make most of the decisions. So let's talk about 7 ways to be an influence on people so that they make great decisions. Number 1 is love. I think you need to love your peeps. I think you need to love yourself. Yeah, that's good enough. There have been 121 Billboard #1 songs with the word love in the title. It's been published in over 8,000 different songs with the word love in the title. And if you want people to love you and you want to be an influence on them, you have to give love in order to get love. So if I love them, I have a better chance that they're going to allow me to be an influence on the decisions that they make. Some of you, 2 people actually, and usually when I'm wandering the room, people don't even look at the notes yet, but 2 people asked me about 1 John 4-19. So I'm going to get biblical on you for just a second, and if you have no interest in this, just cover your ears for the next couple of seconds. But whose job is it to love first? Well, the Bible says we love because he first loved us. And so I think it's our job to be the lovers. Look at you all. You're such lovers. The second thing you have to be an influence is expertise. Expertise. And so the question becomes, well, what expertise? Which expertises? How do I know which ones are of value? Really hard to see in your notes, but easier to see up on the screen is the expertise wheel. So I want you to take a look at the expertise wheel. And I want you to pick 5 things up there that you think you're pretty darn good at. What's your expertise? What are you really awesome at? Pick 5. We have 5. What's anybody good at? Just shout out something that you're awesome at. Technology. What else? Client loyalty. I heard that. Tax issues. Ooh, someone's got to be. All of them. I heard all of them. Who's got all of them nailed? I was going to say liar, but no one was willing to raise their hand. So if you had 5, that's really good. If you could only think of 4, maybe that's not too bad. If you're working on 2 or 3 expertises, I saw that they were hiring at the Target on Colorado Boulevard. Yeah, I was just kidding. So here's how we decide which of our expertises are actually important. If I want to be an influence on my clients so that they make better decisions and are better able to follow their dreams and achieve the things they want, it would be great if I knew what they wanted from me. So here is what sellers want most from real estate agents. Help seller market home to potential buyers. Help sell the home within a specific time frame. Help price the home competitively. Help find a buyer. Help find ways to fix up the home. Buyers. Help find me the right home to purchase. Help buyer negotiate the terms of sale. Help with price negotiations. That's what they want from you. So if I'm armed with that, I would know what to work on. I would know how I could be a better influence. I could know what expertise is going to be the most valuable with my buyers and sellers. The value of expertise on the surface is easy. But let me tell you the story of the carpenter. So there's a carpenter and he's called by a lady who said, you know, I got up this morning and I don't know if it's been like this for months or years or even hours, but man, the floor in my dining room, you can't go anywhere and it squeaks. It squeaks and it squeaks and it squeaks and it squeaks. So the carpenter said, well, ma'am, I could be over about 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock he shows up, he's right on time. He walks into the room, kind of looks at the dining room floor. Walks across it, sure is squeaking. Kind of walks over here. He looks around. Okay. Goes out to his car, comes back in, he has one nail and a hammer. He takes another look at the floor, does another quick walk, and walks over to one spot and goes boom, boom, boom. The floor doesn't make a sound. He walks around the whole thing. Doesn't make a sound. The lady goes, "Oh my gosh, this is quick. This is just unbelievable, and you did it so quickly. I can't believe it. You were like the best carpenter ever." And he said, "Well, I really appreciate that, ma'am. Here's the bill." And she looked at the bill and she said, $85. All you did was hammer in a nail. And he said, "Ma'am, I charged you for that. It's $3 for hammering the nail. It's $82 for knowing where to hammer the nail." That's the value of your expertise, is how it actually does something for people, how it actually helps them with whatever their issue might be, whether it's buying or selling. In his book, What Clients Love, Harry Beckwith said that the most important thing about your expertise is it makes people feel comfortable. It gives them comfort, and that's the number one thing they want from someone who's providing service. And in the end, here's what you and I know. We sell satisfaction. We sell satisfaction. We sell comfort. The third way you're going to be able to be a better influence on your people, or just be an influence on them, is what is called full engagement. How many of you work hard? How many of you are ethical? By the way, there go those as differentiating qualities, huh? Beyond working hard, there's this concept of full engagement. In 1982, I was a track coach in southern Colorado, and I went to a track and field clinic in Phoenix, Arizona, and all kinds of coaches from all over the world, really cool guys who've been very successful. And the guy I went and saw at some point was a guy named Jim Loehr. And Jim Loehr had written a book called, actually at this time, he'd written a book called Athletic Excellence. I remember seeing it and listening to it, and then reading the book and thinking, wow, this guy's got some good ideas. 9 years later, I became a realtor and thought, the dude needs to write a business book. And he did. It's called The Power of Full Engagement. And here's what he teaches us in The Power of Full Engagement. Energy, not time, is a fundamental currency of performance. So if you're wanting to be an influence on your buyers, on your sellers, on your people who haven't even awakened yet to know they need a realtor just yet, it has a lot to do with your energy and your ability to fully engage with them. So let's talk about energy. High energy, low energy, positive energy, negative energy. Where we want to be is up in the upper right quadrant, where we're invigorated, confident, challenged, joyful, connected. How many of you would like to be any of those things right now? How many of us are depressed, exhausted, burned out? Just thought I'd ask. Nice. Here are the 4 principles of this full engagement, because this is what I want to be. This is what I want to be for my buyers. It's what I want to be for my sellers. I want to be fully engaged. I want them to know that when they come and hang out with me, whether we're showing property, whether I'm at their house doing a tour, whether I'm doing a listing presentation, whether we're just talking on the phone, I want them to know that they're getting all of me. I'm fully engaged with them. So the first principle is, full engagement requires drawing on 4 separate but related sources of energy: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Physical capacity is defined as the quantity of it. Now, some of you didn't sleep a lot last night, so you may not have a ton of physical energy. Now, for some of you, it has no effect because you're very energetic anyway. But what we know is our physical amount of energy that we have for people, that's a quantity thing. How much do you have? I can't go out and show 8 properties today if I don't have any energy, if I don't have any at least physical energy. Emotional capacity is defined by the quality of the energy. My ability to listen, my ability to relate, my ability to build rapport, my ability to make people comfortable. Emotional kinds of things. How in touch can I be? It's a quality issue. Mental capacity is defined by the focus of the energy. What are you able to take your mind and just lay it on? When I'm listening to someone tell me, the 5 most important things to them in the considerations in the sale of their home, Am I able to take that stuff mentally and just drop it into my marketing plan and go, okay, they think this is important, they think this is important, they think this is important. I can go over here to my marketing plan, I can go over here to my presentation and pull this and this and this, and that way I can do the things that they actually want and need me to do. And then spiritual energy is defined by the force of the energy. Concept number 2 is because energy capacity diminishes both with overuse and with underuse, we must balance energy expenditure with energy renewal. Which means if I'm going to be fully engaged, I have to periodically practice disengagement. How many of you periodically practice disengagement? How many of you wish you would do that more? Almost all of us. Because we work and we work and we work and we work, and sometimes we need to stop. We need to put the phone away. We need to go meditate or read a book or go for a run or go for a ride or play with our kids or play with our grandkids or do something else, because you can't be fully engaged unless you periodically practice disengagement. There are 2 reasons why top producing agents take more vacations than the rest of us. Number 1, they can afford to. Number 2, they know they have to. They know they have to. My first day on the job, I was working in a little company in Longmont, and I remember my broker said to me, "Oh, you run marathons. You'll really like this business. Because in this business, you just keep going and going and going and going." And I'm not sure what he was saying, but he was wrong, because this business is not a marathon. It's a series of sprints where you go all out and you better figure out a way to catch your breath in between. And so we have to periodically practice disengagement. To build capacity, we must push beyond our normal limits, training in the systematic way that elite athletes do. How many of you have been with a personal trainer before? Okay, if you've been with a personal trainer before, you probably have some idea about the difference between good ones and bad ones. The good ones leave you wanting to come back again. They don't leave you decimated in a hump of what you used to be, so sore that you can't move, because what they understand is that's not how you get better. You get better because we give you a little stress, we make you work hard, and then we give you a day or 2 where you just kind of recover. And then you bounce back and we give you another stressor. It's called the theory of overcompensation. We stress you, we let you recover. We stress you, we let you recover. And pretty soon your spiral starts to look like that, and you get better and better and better and stronger and stronger. The same way works with our physical capacity during the day. Push yourselves beyond your limits a little bit, but make sure you practice disengagement. And number 4, positive energy rituals. Highly specific routines for managing energy are the key to full engagement and sustained high performance. How many of you have rituals that you go through in your day just normally? Things that you do every day? I mean, other than brush your teeth and stuff. Do you have any rituals? Do you have any routines? Do you have any things? Those are things that make you more fully engaged because they strengthen the core of who you are in all 4 of the energy waves. And the way we get better this way is 1 step at a time. Incremental baby steps. Do it, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. And eventually you get better at it. We get better through repetition. It's baby steps.
Baby steps?
It means setting small, reasonable goals for yourself, 1 day at a time. 1 tiny step at a time.
Baby steps.
For instance, when you leave this office, don't think about everything you have to do in order to get out of the building. Just think of what you must do to get out of this room. And when you get to the hall, deal with that hall, and so forth. You see?
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Oh, boy. Baby steps. Baby steps. Baby steps through the office. Baby steps out the door. It works. It works. All I have to do is take 1 little step at a time, and I can do anything. Baby step around the office. Baby step around the office.
That should give you a lot to digest while I'm on vacation.
Vacation?
Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. A lot of stuff on full engagement that in a class it's kind of this compressed that I can't toss out there. There are a lot of things on you being your best all the time. I have my magic pumpkin up here. If you want some extra content about full engagement or any of the things we're talking about, throw your business card in there and we will take care of that. So, number 4, attunement, connection. Part of full engagement is being able to be connected, attuned to your buyers, to your sellers, to your people. We all know what connection means, but we're not sure about this word that I just tossed out, attunement. Attunement is a feeling of being at one with another human being. Could this possibly be a good idea if you were feeling at one with a buyer or at one with a seller? Could that be beneficial to you in how you'd be able to serve them? I'm thinking the answer is yes. Now, I don't know if you know this, but as soon as someone meets you or someone meets with you, they have 3 questions that they're asking about you. 3 questions that they're asking about you right off the bat. Question number 1 is, do you care about me? It's not, does he have an iPad? Is he on Facebook? Is he going to even help me find the right house? No. You know what? Do you care about me? Can you help me? Can you help me? And the third question is, can I trust you? Can I trust you? None of these are groundbreaking skill sets that you're going to have to go out and take classes after classes after classes. It's pretty simple. Do you care about me? Can you help me? Can I trust you? If you make me believe that the answer to these 3 questions is yes, you probably have me. You don't have to be the world's greatest realtor. You don't have to have 35 years of experience. You don't have to be the top producing agent in your office. Do you care about me? Can you help me? Can I trust you? Dr. Albert Mehrabian did a lot of research on communication when he was a UCLA psychology professor. And he believes that communication can be broken down into 3 components. 7, 38, 55. 7% of effective communication is the words you use. So all the things you say to your buyers, all the things that you say to your sellers are 7% of your ability to effectively communicate with them. 38% of your effective communication is your tone of voice, how you say what you say. And 55% is body language. So by the way, if I'm your buyer or seller and you ask me a question, this is visual, so look at me. See, now I know who is listening actually anyway, not. But if I were to say, sure, what do I mean? I mean no. Because body language wins. I can be saying whatever I want, but if the answer was, yeah, of course, sure, I probably mean no. Now, I actually said that in class once, and about 2 hours later, someone had a question, and I was way in the back of the room answering this guy's question, and it was a yes or no. And I went, of course. And turned around, and everyone said, well, you just did it. And I said, well, I did what? And they said, well, you just shook your head no, and you said, of course. And I said, no, I didn't. And everyone said, yes, you did. And I went, oh, well, then I meant no. Life's pretty simple that way. Or as Hitch said in the movie Hitch, 90% of what you're saying isn't coming out of your mouth. So if you're going to be fully engaged and you want to connect with people, you have to be attuned to them as far as your body language and as far as your tonality. Peter Drucker, world's greatest businessman, said the most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't being said. So we want to give people 100%. We want to give them effective words, but also the effective tonality and the effective body language. There's 4 components to connection. And the first one is what I see when I connect with you visually. So if I'm sitting down at the kitchen table with a seller, or I'm at Starbucks meeting with a buyer, in order to connect with them visually, there are some things that I probably ought to do. One is I need to eliminate distractions. The fewer distractions, the better. Secondly, I need to be open to the body language. I need to be open to recognizing my own body language. I need to be a great listener. And listening seems not to be a visual thing, but so much of listening can be visual because I don't know about you, but I can be much more focused as a listener if I'm also visually attuned. If you're looking at someone, it's easier to listen to them. If you're doing good eye contact, it's easier to hear what someone's saying. And by the way, the best listening is what's called active listening. Listening with the intent to understand, which unfortunately isn't what we do sometimes. Sometimes we do that thing where we're listening with the intent to figure out what it is we're going to say next. And those are two different concepts. But the visual part will help you. We want to connect intellectually. We want to connect with what people understand. So we want to speak in order to make sense to someone. Sometimes our personal experiences will help. Sometimes telling a good story. Sometimes it'll help us connect intellectually with people. There's this concept. I had a, what would we call it? I had a marital disagreement last night with my spouse. And it had to do with Miracle Whip and mayonnaise, which seemed like a stupid thing for us to have accelerated into an actual argument about. But here's what happened, and I've been married to 2 women in my life, and I picked both women who have the same characteristic, which means, I suppose it means, at least since I lived in Boulder for 9 years, I have to believe that it means I have a lesson to learn in the universe. But she was trying to get across her point about the Miracle Whip and the mayonnaise, and I didn't quite get it. And so she thought, well, the best plan must be to repeat the point again. And I still didn't quite get it, so she figured the best plan was to repeat the point again, but perhaps with a little more tonality. And then we went to body language. And here's what we actually know when we stop in our interactions with other people to be aware, and that is, if I'm trying to communicate something to you and you're not getting it, I need to find another way to communicate it to you so that you do get it. Connecting intellectually is about the other person. And if you're going to be fully engaged, you got to be able to do that. So if you're teaching me about the market and I'm not getting it, you need to find another way to teach it to me. If you're going to show me what you're going to do to get my home sold and I'm not quite getting it, then maybe you need to find another way to connect with me intellectually. We want to connect with people emotionally. What people feel is just as important. And we want to obviously connect verbally with what people hear. Mark Twain once said this. He said, the difference between the almost right word and the right word is a very large matter. It's the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning. One word, but a huge difference in the meaning of that word. So we want to make sure that when we talk to people, when we try to practice full engagement, that we make sure that we're connecting by how they hear and what they hear. So some tips for connecting with people one-on-one. First off, I think you increase your power by giving it up. I think when you're sitting with that buyer, you're sitting with that seller, if you're trying to be the all-being master of time, space, dimension, and real estate, you're going to run into, you may feel as fully engaged as you could possibly be, by the way, but they're not going to get it. I think we gain power by giving up some. Now, power is an interesting thing. How many of you, if we could open up your little power meter, how many of you are running on this right here now? Anybody? A few of you? I don't run on this one. This is the one I run on, this one right here. That's not going to go. It's supposed to spin around. Oh man, that's terrible. I'm going to see if I can make it spin. There it goes. That's me. It's tough. Some of you did this last hour, so you're going to cheat. But part of being attuned to people is your ability to relate to them. So everyone take your right index finger and put it on your forehead. Now those of you who did this an hour ago get to cheat now because you know the answer, right? So put your right finger on your forehead and draw a capital letter E. A capital letter E. Got it? Okay, how many of you drew the E so that I could see it, so that Rich could see it? Uh-huh. How many of you only drew it that way because you learned last hour where to draw it? Nice. How many of you drew the E so that you yourself could see it? How many of you just had an eye exam, so you either drew it this way or this way? Okay, none of you? Good. Here's what psychologists tell us. Psychologists tell us you're more likely to be attuned or connected with people if you drew the E so that they could see it, because you're more other-oriented. Your first thought was, oh, you want to see my E? Here's my E right here. So you're more prone to being able to walk a mile in someone's shoes. You're more prone to empathy. Now the rest of you, selfish, rotten, terrible people, I guess. Power leads individuals to anchor too heavily on their own vantage point, insufficiently adjusting to others' perspective. If you come in being the all-being master of real estate, sometimes you're just not going to hear me as well. And as fully engaged as you might think you are, full engagement's a two-way street. And then, of course, there's empathy. And one of the best ways to connect with people, as we've already said, is empathy. But another great way to connect with people is what is called mimicry, or matching and mirroring. Being as much like someone as you can to make them comfortable. So, let's take this example right here.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat with the man your man could smell like. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing you love. Look again. The tickets are now diamond. Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
Mimicry, matching and mirroring.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now look at me. Back to your man. Back to me. Do I look like your man? Of course not. That would be weird. Only I look like me. And he looks like him. But I look like me. That's because I'm me. Now look at your man. Can he sell real estate? Of course not. You need a realtor. Now look up, look down. Look up, look down. You're nodding, so you agree. Now look up. Your house is sold. Now look down. I have balloons tied to my ankles.
I'm not sure, I just wanted to put that in there. Here's what some people know that you and I sometimes fall prey to. How many of you have been waiters or waitresses? Wow, man, you can tell I have a lot of independent contractors in the room. Psychological and actual customer service surveys say that the people who get more tips, 40 to 70%, do 2 things. So I have so many waiters and waitresses. What are those 2 things? To help you be attuned with your people. 2 things. Listen. Okay, listen, but there's the next extension of that. 40% more tips to people who actually repeat the order back to someone verbatim. So you want the steak, medium well, blah, 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 blah. Instead of just, yeah, great. Or the ones who don't even write anything down. They just get all the orders and you're wondering, I don't even know what I just ordered. How do they know what I just ordered? What's the other magic secret for the waitress or the waiter? The touch. The light touch on the shoulder or the upper arm, tips go up 40 to 60%. It's attunement. It's connection. There's also a humility factor here that's really important as well. The key to being a good matcher and mirror is you have to take the little chair to let someone else be comfortable in the big chair. The 5th thing is service. In his fantastic book, Selling the Invisible, Harry Beckwith said this: a customer's satisfaction is the gap between what the customer expects and what they get. That makes sense. Makes total sense. So let's talk about sellers, okay? Sellers. Sellers. You with me? Sellers. Here's what a seller expects from you. Now, you should be going down the list going, How many of you think you're doing pretty good here so far from what you're seeing on the list? Okay. Here's the second part of the list. Sign in yard, 71%, which begs the question, what are the other 29% of people expecting from you? Are they thinking you're going to stand on the lawn doing this or something? You know, he doesn't have a sign, but I know he points out the house somehow. So look at the list. look at the list, look at the list. Here's the question. When it comes to service, how low is this hurdle? I mean, if the gap between, if a customer's satisfaction is the gap between what they expect and what they get, wow, when it comes to sellers, that's got to be pretty low. So maybe our problem isn't that we're not giving great service, it's just maybe we're not so great at communicating the great service we're getting. And if you're going to be fully engaged, service is a huge part of that. Here's my memo to hotel owners. Is anyone spending a couple of nights downtown? Or a couple of you? Okay, great. Here's the memo to hotel owners. I don't know if you know this, but hotel surveys say that the average person who stays in a hotel is 45.6 years old. So most guests are over 45. Most people over 45 are farsighted, and many people who wear glasses don't wear them in the shower. So when you go to most hotels, the unfortunate experience you have is they have shampoo containers with the word shampoo about that big. Maybe, if you're lucky. I travel a lot, and washing my hair with the body lotion is not like a great option. So here's my advice to hotel owners. How about we get containers with the word shampoo on them? Now, here's the moral of the service story. It's the little things that make a difference. The thickness in the towel. I stayed in a Hawthorne Suites about a week ago. I don't remember where I was, so we won't even ask. And I remember reading a hotel and restaurant review kind of magazine once that said that the difference between the hotels, the towels you get at a Hawthorne Suites or a Super 8 or a Comfort Inn and the ones you get at a Marriott are 40 cents a towel. 40 cents a towel. But when was the last time, what was your experience the last time you had one of those towels where you thought, you know what, I might as well get a paper towel because it's having the same amount of effect. It's the little things that make a difference when it comes to your service and the full engagement of that service.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have no midsize available at the moment.
I don't understand. I made a reservation. Do you have my reservation?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, we ran out of cars.
But the reservation keeps the car here. That's why you have the reservations.
I know why we have reservations.
I don't think you do. If you did, I'd have a car. See, you know how to take the reservation, you just don't know how to hold the reservation. And that's really the most important part of the reservation, the holding. Anybody can just take them.
Let me speak with my supervisor.
Here we go. The supervisor. You know what she's saying over there?
What?
Hey, Marge, see those two people over there? They think I'm talking to you. So you pretend like you're talking to me. Okay, now you start talking.
Oh, you mean like this? So it looks like I'm saying something, but I'm not really saying anything at all?
Okay, now you say something else, and they won't yell at me because they thought I was checking with you.
Oh, great, I think that's enough. See you later.
Good.
I'm sorry, my supervisor says there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, it looked like you were in a real conversation over there.
But we do have a compact if you would like that.
Fine.
All right. Well, we have a blue Ford Escort for you, Mr. Seinfeld. Would you like insurance?
Yeah, you better give me the insurance because I am going to beat the hell out of this thing.
We've all experienced good service. We've all experienced bad service. We know what it's like. This is Ralphie. Ralphie is a stuffed kangaroo. Or Joshy, not Ralphie. I'm sorry, the kid's name was Ralph. So this couple and their little 4-year-old son were visiting the Ritz-Carlton on Amelia Island in Florida. And unbeknownst to anyone in the family, they took off and they went home and left Joshy behind. Upon arriving home, the little 4-year-old boy was panicked. He didn't want to go to sleep because he wasn't going to have Joshy with him. He didn't know what to do. So Dad called up the Ritz-Carlton. Ritz-Carlton went on full alert and, of course, went to the room and found Joshy. He'd been under the bed or something. So normally, and I don't know what your experience is with hotel lost and founds, especially once you've left, that probably, in most circumstances, would be the end of the story. We'd have to go find the kid a new kangaroo or some other replacement best friend. But the Ritz-Carlton sent Joshy back. And in the meantime, sent an email with some pictures to the family. And they said, well, Joshy's been busy while he's been gone, and we're sorry that we kept him, but we decided to put him to work. And since you lost him, little Ralph, we made him in charge of loss prevention. And so they made a business card for Joshy. And they said, yep, we put him in charge of loss prevention. So while you've been home and you've been worrying, and we should have been in touch with you sooner, Joshy's been checking the security cameras to make sure that everything in the hotel grounds is fine. Now, not all work for Joshy. Joshy caught some sun, took it easy, even went to the spa for a while, but mostly just kind of drove the beach and helped people with their loss prevention issues. A lot of people would have just sent Joshy back. A lot of people wouldn't have even sent Joshy back. The Ritz-Carlton knows how to be fully engaged in customer service and go beyond what even the wildest expectations of the little boy and his family would have been. Do I have any like broker, owner, manager people in the room? Jeff, what is it, Bezos or whatever the guy's name is, who ran Amazon, started using this practice called the empty chair. And the empty chair works like this. And by the way, you don't have to be a manager or a broker to do it. It's just a manager-broker idea. You could do it yourself. But what he did was, in their headquarters in Seattle, he took an empty chair, and in the front of the office where you came in, he put it up on a table like this. And that was going to sit there for the next 2 months, because for the next 2 months, we were going to think about what could we do for the customer. And because Amazon, they don't actually meet the customer's what? Invisible. So every time someone walked into work and they passed the empty chair, the thought they were supposed to have is, okay, what can I do for that person that I'm not going to see today, that I'm not going to meet? How can I fully engage with someone who in a lot of ways is invisible to me? What can I do to give them the greatest level of customer service possible? And they use the empty chair to I guess, be the emblem of the client. 3 numbers you have to know. 3, 24, and 5. If you're going to give great service, you need to know these 3 numbers. And the first thing about service is getting people to be okay with you. And people judge you within 3 seconds. People judge you within 3 seconds. So the issue becomes this one. What do you do in the first 3 seconds when you meet someone? Is it about you or is it about them? Where is your focus in that first 3 seconds? And other psychologists tell us 5 or 7, and we can make it anywhere from 3 to 7, but where's your focus? If you're fully engaged in customer service, the focus should be on them. 24. Anytime someone has a question for you, great service demands that you're back to them within 24 hours. Technology has shortened that, but I mean, there are some things that need checking. But after 24 hours, I've forgotten what I've asked you pretty much. Well, in my case, after 24 minutes, I've forgotten what I've asked you, but that sounds like a personal problem. And then I think when you've had any kind of an interaction with one of your buyers or sellers or people that you know, within 5 days, you need to send them a handwritten thank you note for the time they spent with you. We all know what it's like to go to the mailbox and somebody wrote us something there. It's a good thing. The key to great service is this. You want to treat other people better than you ever expected to be treated yourself. And if you do that, you're being fully engaged. And if you're fully engaged, you'll have influence. The 6th thing is gratitude. Meister Eckhart said, if the only prayer you said in your whole life was thank you, that would suffice. Gratitude is really important on influence because it's hard to be an influence on someone if you're caught up in your own misery, if you're not thankful for your own life. Gratitude is an emotion expressing appreciation for what one has as opposed to a consumer-oriented emphasis on what one wants or needs. So if we even try to be grateful, if we increase that gratitude factor just a little bit, here's what we find. We increase our well-being and our happiness. And if I'm a little happier, it's a whole lot easier to be of influence to someone. Gratitude also reminds you of the positive things in your life. Makes you happy about the people in your life, whether they're loved ones or just strangers or even buyers. Turns good things into bad things, or bad things into good things. It turns bad things into good things. If you're having problems with that last client, you know what? You'd be grateful that you have people to work with. Be grateful you have challenges. Be grateful that life isn't so simple. Because some of the challenges make us stronger. And so we need to be thankful for the challenges. Gratitude reminds you of what's important. It's hard to complain about the little things in life when you give thanks that your children are healthy, that you're healthy, that your friends are healthy. It's hard to get stressed out because maybe this month was a tough month in the real estate business, or you had a hard time paying some of the bills. You know what? When you have a roof over your head and you have people who love you. Gratitude makes a big difference because the simple act of saying thank you to someone makes a big difference in their life. So if I want to be of influence to people, I want to be an influence to people, I need to be grateful for them. And the seventh thing is the moment. If I'm going to be an influence on people, I need to be in the moment. And here's the definition of the moment. And I actually got this in 1982 from Jim Lair at that track and field clinic. He said, here's his definition of the moment. The moment is right here, right now, loving every minute of it. There's no what if in the moment. There's no if only in the moment. The moment is right here, right now. And if you want to be an influence on people, if you want to be an agent of influence, you need to be in the moment with your people. You shouldn't know if I'm having a good day or a bad day. I should just be doing my job up here. I should just be getting my presentation done and hopefully engaging you in a little bit. And it's the same way with you when you're with your buyers and sellers. We have to be in the moment with them. This is a friend of mine named Sally Meyerhoff. And Sally was a pretty good runner back in the early part of this decade. She ran a marathon in about 2 hours and 32 minutes, which those of you who know anything about the marathon know that Sally was pretty fast. She won the Phoenix Rock and Roll Marathon once. But what she decided at some point was, all of a sudden it dawned on her that while she was pretty fast and while she would occasionally win these small races, she was never going to compete at the world level. So one day she thought, well, you know what? I grew up a swimmer, and I know how to ride a bike. So maybe this isn't my thing. Maybe triathlon is my thing. Maybe that's my ticket. Maybe that's where I can fully express myself. And so she started to go to work on getting back to her swim shape, started riding her bike, trying to get her professional card as a triathlete. And so in March of 2012, she wrote this in her blog. I cannot express how happy I am with where I am in my life right now, though, and how grateful I feel for being able to do what I do. I just wouldn't trade it for anything, and anytime I'm feeling not very motivated, I think about how miserable I feel when I'm not training or doing something else I don't love. I totally and completely love this life I'm living, and the most fabulous thing is knowing that it's only going to get 20 times better by the end of the year. Sally went on a bike ride the day after she did that. A guy ran a stop sign, ran into her on her bike and killed her. The thing about the moment is this, and I don't mean to bum you out with that story, but Sally thought she had more time. We all think we have more time. We think that time is this endless thing, and so we live in the past and we think about the future. And I'm never going to tell you that it's not good to be a planner. It's not good to do things like that. But life is in the moment. And for you to be most effective, you have to be in the moment to be there. If you're going to be the most influential, you have to be right there, right then, loving every minute of it with your buyer and with your seller. We have to be in the moment. Now again, it was Jim Lair who taught me about the moment, and his claim to fame was that he coached a man he believed to be the greatest mental athlete of all time, John McEnroe. Now those of you who know of John McEnroe are thinking to yourself, well, he was mental all right. I'm not real sure about this mental athlete thing. Here's what John McEnroe could do. John McEnroe could shake his fist at the other guy on the net. He could rip up one side and down the other, a line judge. He could flip off a fan. He could have a total, are you kidding me? You've got to be kidding me. He could go on, and then walk back to the line, bounce the ball down twice, and hit a serve past you at 145 miles an hour while you were still agitated. Because he knew how to forget about that and not worry about this and get right back to the moment. And the moment's right here, right now, loving every minute of it. So if we want to be an agent of influence, we have to understand that when we're in the moment with someone, We share that moment with our buyers, with our sellers. Love is in the moment. We already talked about that. Your expertise is one of the most influential things you have, and it's especially useful when it's in the moment. Full engagement's totally based on being in the moment. Attunement and connection, you can only connect with someone at that moment. The best service occurs in the moment, and gratitude is based on being thankful for each and every moment. The moment is kind of a special bond between people, and agents of influence understand the power of that right here, right now, love in every minute, because what we know is one moment leads to the next one, and then to the next one, and then to the next one. I hope you'll go out and be an influence on your folks, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks.